What is up, everybody? I'm NoLucksGiven, and in this video we are going to take a look at a trophy hunter game. Now this game is on the previous patch for what that's worth, though there's not that much that changed between this patch and the previous one, so I think you'll see that this gameplay is still pretty relevant. And Wizard's Familiar is not a unit that you would typically think about being good on Trophy Hunter. However, if you are able to put together a strong Monster Book Trophy Hunter comp early in the game, you can just crush the rest of the lobby. And that's exactly what we are going to look at in this video. So I'm casting this for glory just for the +1/+1 on my pair of Wizards Familiars here. Not really expecting to win this opening combat, especially against a Sharon that won or tied their first combat. That probably means that we are in for a loss on this one, but that's totally fine. I'm happy just to pick up some Wizards Familiars because they might not be that strong at this stage of the game, but we will be able to scale them out once we find some monster books later on. So we're going to be taking a little bit more damage here, take 4 down to 33, but our third shop of the game is pretty sweet. We get to take a Cindy, and we get to Shard of the Ice Queen this Sherwood Shore Shot into a Goat. So all of this is really good. We've got the pair of Wizards Familiars, and then we also have Cinderella working towards another tier 2 treasure, and I really like those tier 2 treasures on Trophy Hunter because that can potentially find you bounty board and can potentially find you some other sweet early econ treasures like spinning gold or secret stash that just help you spend more gold and find the units that you need. And we're definitely going to find the units that we need in this game, though it kind of just works out in our favor in this one, which is nice. That can definitely be nice too sometimes. We are going to walk away from this one with a tie against Horde Dragon, so things are starting to pick up here. We're doing a little bit better. And I think I'm going to play this turn a little bit spicy. I'm going to take a pair of Lonely Princes, just 1/1s, but again, I really like the idea of a lot of those tier 2 treasures on Trophy Hunter. I am well aware we are going to take some damage this turn. We are not about to win this spinning gold. We took it just to tick down Cindy and tick up these Wizards Familiars. It would be a total shock if we were able to walk away from this one with a win, and as you can see, we are definitely not. Though we do get to clear out my opponent's Sherwood Shore Shot, so we only take 5 damage, not the worst thing in the world, and that is going to put us down to 28. We'll start off this combat by casting a free roll, again a nice little tick onto Cindy and the Wizards Familiars, and now I've got a few different options for princesses to flip over these Lonely Princes. Probably we'll just go with Ogre Princess here. Yeah, that seems like it is probably better. And now we've got a full front line of 5/5s. And all of a sudden, we're looking a whole lot stronger. I'll roll again, and then we'll find another Wizard's Familiar. And that's great. We'll get our first look at a tier 2 treasure. We could take a Noble Steed. We've almost got Cindy activated next turn, but I'd much rather just take Secret Stash. We're at 28 already towards the bottom of the lobby, and if we lose again, we want to be able to get some cash from that, hopefully in level 4 if we can manage to just win this next combat. Then we'll have the gold to spend towards level 4 units. And I'd still like to try to get a tier 2 treasure from Cinderella, try to find that bounty board, which is just so obviously strong. And looks like we are going to be doing pretty well. If the Sleeping Princess attacked into the Wizard's Familiar, though, we would have even got a Ogre Princess trigger, so that could have been really sweet, but we walk away from the combat with a win, so can't be too upset with that one. I'll Mix-a-Whizzle on the Goat just to activate Cindy. I guess I could do it on the Cindy as well, though it would be cool if we can flip the goat into an ogre princess, which then could potentially allow us to roll and pick up an ogre princess and find a tier 3 treasure. From Cindy, we've got awkwardly locked chest as our only option, so looks like we could have just been better off had we taken the noble steed, but we still have this secret stash stashed away here, and I will go for the mummy plus the root worm after that. It's a very weird card. I don't know why this is called root worm, but that's what it's called. Oops, let me rewind back a second here. But yeah, casting some spells are one of the ways that you can help some of your monsters to slay while you are playing Trophy Hunter, and unfortunately that is not going to help us out this time, but it also has the added benefit of pumping up this Wizard's Familiar. This Wizard's Familiar is pretty strong at this stage of the game, and that's going to be really good for us because it's just going to help us win these combats that we might not otherwise be able to with Trophy Hunter. So all of that is pretty good, all things considered, and now I really just want to try to find some monster books, some Grim Souls, and potentially like some friendly spirits that could be in the mix as well. We'll take a look at our last tier 2 treasure, and our options are Piggy Bank, Ring of Regeneration, or honestly probably just skip. I'm definitely not going to take Crown of Atlas. That's not going to do nearly anything here, so I'm just going to skip, pick up Monster Book. This will allow us to roll one more time and then either skip and buy something. I guess we can roll one more time and then sell the goat. I guess we can roll one more time and sell 2 things. And honestly, I think I should pick up Spellweavers here. Because we already have the monster book, I think we're going to be able to start casting a bunch of spells. I don't think it is the worst decision in the world to continue to roll from this point. But I do wish that I had realized this game how much Spellweaver was actually just going to be a better unit than Shadow Assassin. Typically when you're playing Trophy Hunter, you want to just focus on Shadow Assassin, but whenever we slay with a monster book, we're going to be able to cast 2 spells, one from its slaying and then one from the last breath. So we're going to wind up casting a whole bunch more spells than we will be slaying in this game. Like here you'll see we are going to wind up casting 2 spells at the end, and that's going to give our Wizard's Familiar +4/+4, which is great, but I wish that I also had a Spellweaver getting in there, and you can see me considering it at various points throughout this game, but just spoiler alert, I'm never going to pick it up, and I kind of regret it about, well, after we've like tripled the Shadow Assassin. I'm like, maybe I should have just taken a Spellweaver instead. But for right now, just rolling for more monster books, more Grim Souls, and there is another Spellweaver, but I am not going to pick it up. I am going to pick up this monster book though, and then I believe we also wind up grabbing a deck of many things. So we are just growing this Wizard's Familiar every turn by continuing to cast a bunch of spells from our monster book, and that is, you know, we can continue to grow it too with this deck of many things. So this is kind of the idea here. This is how you scale this Trophy Hunter comp. It's a little bit weird, but it can definitely be pretty strong, as you can tell by the fact that we have not cracked our secret stash since we hit level 4, or even on 3.2, we haven't cracked that secret stash. 3.2 or 3.1, right? Yeah, so we've been doing pretty good for a while, and that's really just the strength of having an early Wizard's Familiar. Like I said, would have definitely been reasonable to try to pick up some Spellweavers at some point, but we are not going to do that. But we wind up now casting 4 spells every time the monster book slays, and it's pretty easily able to slay at this stage of the game without having any like scaling involved. But if we can get a bad moon, that would be really sweet. Unfortunately, we get a bunch of caca treasures here. So I think this one is going to be another skip, and we'll just use that gold to help us try to roll for more monster books, grim souls, and potentially mummies. They're not that terrible here either, and we can also pick up some shadow assassins right now. Could go for glory, but here we're going to have the decision between Shadow Assassin and Spellweaver. It's tricky because we don't fully know where this build is going. Like, maybe we do move into mummies, maybe we triple the mummy and find a bad moon. But part of the reason that the monster book is working out so well for us this game is we're not finding any other scaling treasures. We don't find Monster Book, which obviously works so well with Mummy. We're not finding Bad Moon, which obviously works so well with Friendly Spirit. We're really just using this Monster Book and this deck of many things, and then trying to have this Wizard's Familiar carry us for as much as it can. And if that's the goal, then some Spellweavers were probably in order, all things considered. We're going to get another Slay here with the Monster Book, which casts Blessing of Athena on my whole squad, which is pretty nice. And we also cast a bunch of spells into my opponent's Creeper in the back row there. So that Soul Tack soaked up a lot of damage for my opponent, but Mummy is going to be able to finish my opponent's happy little tree off, and we get the For Glory. So we go into level 5 with a free Nyan Sea Terror. Could be good, potentially get a tier 5 treasure on the cheap with that, with the fact that we are halfway towards completing that already. But other than that, we're really just looking for Baba Yagas and then additional copies of the units that we already have. And as you can see, I'm going firmly down the path of the Shadow Assassins here. I'll pick up the Falling Stars just because it gives +2/+2 to the Wizard's Familiar. That's the whole idea there. And then I'm going to sell off some golden chickens to pick up this monster book. And we'll see how that carries us into our fight here up against the Horde Dragon. And one thing that is a little bit scary about this Horde Dragon is I noticed they have a Pandora's Box. So they are set up well to do some pretty big things. But we'll see if we can just totally kill him here with a Slay of a Monster Book. That's basically just the whole conceit of this strategy, is we're just slaying because we have Monster Books so early. We don't have like any type of scaling or really anything that will get us into the late game. But for right now, at least, we're crushing this lobby. Let's see if we can find a Bad Moon, though. And unfortunately, we're not going to be able to. So I'm going to take Eye of Ares. Just a little bit of extra oomph that can potentially allow our units to slay. Plus, it's good on our ranged units and our Mummy. So we can definitely make some use out of it. And then I'll pick up a Grim Soul. That's not too bad. Our first Grim Soul of the game. We'll see what we can do with that. And then that is going to be it for this turn. And hopefully, I mean, I feel like this is enough at this point. We did get the Eye of Ares this turn, so let's see if that helps us slay any as well. I think our first monster book is going to get attacked into, and then our second one is not going to be big enough to slay, but we will have this mummy in the back, and then we will importantly have this 70, almost 80 Wizard's Familiar. I mean, that's just obviously huge, and then Mummy's going to be able to take out my opponent's Sherwood Sure Shot. So there you go. I mean, a lot of this right now is just having this huge Wizard's Familiar that we've scaled the whole game, and you can tell, obviously, how much better these Shadow Assassins would be had they just been Spellweavers. And I think right around now is the time that I'm realizing that I kind of wish they were Spellweavers, but what the hey, we'll complete this Shadow Assassin while we're here and then skip these treasures because they're not super great for us either. So now we are just looking for more books. I guess I will take Nyan Sea Terror, though. It works with the exact amount of gold that we have. It will probably mean that we're just replacing our secret stash So a little bit awkward, but you can't really complain if we've just managed to win all of our combats from here. So I'm going to take the Staff of the Old Toad and replace my secret stash. It is at least something to consider, but that is ultimately what I am going to go for here. And then we are going to get a poison apple on my opponent's unit, but it's not going to do too much for us. We aren't going to be able to slay with the monster book either. We are just going to be able to fire off some mummy missiles and just try to get carried with this large wizard's familiar. But that's basically all that we've got going on this game. Not to continually repeat myself, but that's just the strength of, like, not doing anything extremely powerful. I might have stumbled over those words. Not doing anything extremely powerful, but just relying on the fact that we've got this Wizard's Familiar that's so much scaled up right over the rest of the lobby here. Could consider the Coin of Sharon, but I'm looking at this lobby like, okay, I'm probably going to kill this Horde Dragon right now, and then either the Mrs. Claus or the Fates are going to die, and then it's the finals. So I'm looking like there's only going to be 1 or 2 more games. That means it's only 1 trigger from the coin. It's probably not that huge of a deal. This game is basically almost over at this point already. So I'm going to lock into this shop to be able to pick up a Baba Yaga for next turn. And for right now, I will just pick up this stone skin, and I guess I'll probably just throw that on my Wizard's Familiar just to give it +4, +8, just a little bit more stats to potentially do something sweet with. So that's the whole plan here. Let's see if it works. This Horde Dragon has opened up Pandora's box, and inside of it they were able to find a black prism, so they've put together some mages of their own, but we are going to be able to cast some spells against them. We aren't going to be able to slay with the monster book, unfortunately, though my Wizard's Familiar is also pretty big. Theirs are quite large too. We're going to wind up trading off Wizard's Familiars. This is going to be a really close battle, but I slay with my mummy, which allows me to take out my opponent's remaining units and take out the Horde Dragon. Pretty close combat there, all things considered. I was 50% to win it, but it was still pretty close. Now for this one, after I pick up the Baba Yaga, I am going to cut the mummy that has actually been doing decent work for us the rest of these fights, but now I want the Grim Soul to trigger on one of these monster books and then cast 4 spells. I feel like that is a reasonable way to get back into it. I'm looking at the Cupid, which seems like it could be pretty good against a Royals comp. I'm also looking at the Oni King, though I don't think the Oni King is going to be enough to put us over the edge. So what I decided to do here is just roll for another Baba Yaga. Even if I lose this combat, I'll be able to find a Baba Yaga potentially for next turn, and I think that that is worth rolling for. So I'm going to roll, and then I'm going to find a Knighthood. So let's lock on to that one here on Knighthood, the Baba Yaga. I think that gives us a reasonable power spike on the board, but for right now, just hoping that we can get through by casting a bunch of spells and maybe scamming our way to victory. We are going to start the combat by casting a spell from our deck of many things as well. And then we've got 4 spells here from the Grim Soul on the monster book. That's going to kill 2 of my opponent's units, so not too shabby. We don't get the slay there again, but we do get some spells after the fact, and everything is just attacking into my Wizard's Familiar, and then we will cast some spells ultimately with this monster book slay, and that's going to be enough to take out my opponent's backline as well and get us the win. So pretty quick one here, pretty quick game, all things considered. That was a turn 14 win there. I loaded that up in the last second, if you didn't see that up in the top left hand corner. But there you go, there is Spell Slay Trophy Hunter, and it is, or it can be, a really powerful aggressive strategy. A lot of times when you think about Trophy Hunter, you are thinking about it can just be the premier end game hero that in the end game nobody's really going to be able to stop what Trophy Hunter can put together, but sometimes you can put it together even faster than that with some spells and a little bit of luck. That's going to be it for me today, guys. Thank you very much for watching. I'm NoLucksGiven. Peace.